Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is for a couple where one person is an Aries and one is a Leo. This can be sun or moon with either of the signs. And this is a very interesting one because we're talking about two fire signs. And I already did a video for a couple where both are Aries, and so this is going to have some similar themes because of that with the fire energy. And I have put down some things that I think that will make this an awesome connection, and some things that could be a little bit tricky with this combination. So when we're talking about Aries, we're talking about a cardinal fire sign. Leo is a fixed fire sign. So they're both with the element fire, which is creative. So these people tend to be creative in some way. I think especially Leos tend to have artistic tendencies, or, are natural performers. Aries definitely can be creative in general, but the Leo is known for it because Leo rules the fifth house that has to do with creativity. Aries is more like a work of art themselves for their very being the ruler of the first house. So, fire signs are, they're associated with creative self-expression. And part of creativity, of being an artist, for instance, is taking the essence of your soul and somehow expressing it, in some cases in a tangible form, like, for instance, a poem or a painting. Or if we're talking about a performance, like an actor on the stage, the way, or a dancer, or a singer, it's like whenever you hear somebody that you really connect with as a singer, you're connecting to more than just the ability, what do they call that? The raw talent. You're connecting to their essence. And this is why we tend to prefer one person's voice over another. It's not just the way it sounds, but we're connecting to their soul, or you could say their emotional nature as well. And so both of these people are coming from that place, which is really individualistic. And this is one of the reasons why fire signs are so independent and why they tend to be seen by others as arrogant, because there's this knowledge of who we are. I'm a Sagittarian, so same thing. And other people sometimes are not really even engaging in that part of life. They're just kind of doing their thing. But fire signs are really about expressing themselves and also about being who they are, being who they came here to be. So when you have two fire signs that get together, they can encourage each other in this way, whereas other signs may discourage the person from being an individual. And, try to encourage the person to be more of a conformist, because, fire being more individualistic means that it's also rebellious because it's going against the grain and not necessarily wanting to be like everybody else. So this couple can support each other's dreams because each one understands how important dreams are. And both of these people are going to dream big. They're not going to have like modest goals. They're going to have very big goals. And other people that they may have been with in the past might have like poo-pooed their goals and said, you can't do that. That's how do you think you're going to do that so soon? Or, all those kinds of things that discourage people. Fire signs are positive thinkers, and it's not that they're going to necessarily get discouraged if someone that they're with is not believing that they're going to accomplish those things. That's not necessarily like they are afraid that that person is right. I think it's more of a case where they just dislike being around naysayers. There's a big difference. Just because you don't want to be around a naysayer doesn't mean that you're afraid that they're right. It just means that you just want to be around positive people who also have their own dreams. Because sometimes being ambitious and having dreams is threatening to people who are playing too small. So there you go. This is a power couple, actually. And with Leo's, both of these people are very ambitious. So that's what I mean when I say that it's not necessarily easy to find somebody who isn't threatened by somebody who has big dreams. There are a lot of people here who, because they have a lack of vision, they just think that the person is being foolish. But both of these people would never be like that. And as a result, they tend to be successful. And Leo really loves that, the high life, because of the status that it conveys. Leo wants the best of the best. And I think Aries does too, to a large extent. So neither one is going to nag the other about spending money, like dropping money like crazy. It's all good as far as both of these people are concerned. And there's more where that came from. The sexual passion will definitely be there and be an important part of both of these people's lives. It's so funny because for the most part, except for the combination between Aries and Gemini, a lot of these are the lustiest signs as far as I'm concerned. Aries, Taurus, and Leo. So I'm getting them out of the way right away. So this may be the area that these people really have a lot of connection, is through sexual passion. The real challenge, though, is whether it extends beyond the bedroom, whether or not they can make it work in other areas. And I think because of the fact that we're talking about both being fire signs here, I think that they're going to have so much in common that it's going to pretty much be a done deal, that these two signs are going to get along famously in all areas. But this is definitely one of them. But there's also romantic tendencies with both these signs. And I don't think I've said that, I've talked about romance yet. I suppose I could have with the Aries Taurus combination, but I think of Taurus, you could say that Taurus is romantic, but this is like the kind of, I think with Taurus, it's the whining and dining. I think with these two signs, it's the grand gestures, and there's probably not a sign more romantic than Leo. And so in addition to having great physical chemistry, there's also going to be that romantic side, which is really nice to have both of these things. And this can mean that these people really experience a great courtship, which can lead to wanting to settle down. Leo, especially because Leo's a fixed sign, is not prone to being fickle, once they find somebody to bestow their affections upon. This is why Leo gets that reputation of being loyal, because it's a fixed sign and they tend to be quite loyal to a person that they feel connected to. I don't think that Aries has a proclivity towards cheating themselves. I think that with Aries, though, they have to find somebody that can excite them and keep their interest. And if they can find that sort of person, then Aries won't get bored, because Aries does have a tendency to crave the stimulation of a new relationship. But that's because perhaps most of the relationships that Aries gets involved with are not are not enough to sustain their interest. And so that's how that one goes. But this relationship would definitely be different. So let's look at what can be the possible downsides. One of them is, because both of these signs are very competitive, if one person isn't feeling good about themselves, they might be competitive with the other person and be a little bit too prone to feeling insecure and taking it out on that person, and perhaps in very toxic ways of trying to undermine that person's confidence. If the individual who, for instance, is in between jobs is really taking it hard, who knows what they could do along those lines to undermine their partner's confidence, and that's not very nice. So the person has to realize that everyone has a right to be successful, and if you're not feeling successful at the moment, you can't feel that way by tearing somebody down, even if it's in a kind of a covert way by sneaky methods. That's, a terrible thing to do. But I would imagine in some cases it's not even premeditated. It just kind of comes, out of the person's psyche, and they're just doing it to make themselves feel better. It's not necessarily premeditated. The other thing is Drama City. I wrote Drama City, a volatile relationship. These are two hotheads. And so, relationships, even good relationships, sometimes run into conflicts, and it's how two people handle their differences. And being able to express one's displeasure without becoming irate is something that I think fire signs can take quite a long time to learn how to manage their anger. Anger management, there you go. And so I'm not going to just pick on Aries here, even though Aries is the god of war. Leo can also be tyrannical, especially the Leo people that are not really feeling all that good about themselves. They can tend to be overbearing, and drama kings and queens. So this, again, this could be just something that both of these people have to learn how to express their upset in a way that is not going to be disagreeable. There's a book called Nonviolent Communication, and there's a method of learning how to talk about what it is that is bothering you in a way that is inoffensive, that it's non-threatening to that other person. It's funny, I put here 2 extra, and that could be like multiple things. You have 2 fire signs. They could be both prima donnas. They could be, they make the scene and they're both like this arrogant, like there's this arrogant couple that's both full of themselves. This could be a case of maybe spending too much money and not having, and always playing catch up, or just anything that is over the top. Even like the romantic side of things. If it's taken to excess, it can be like absurd, the way that these people conduct themselves. But when they get together, it's like on steroids. And there can also be a power struggle. Although Leo is not a cardinal sign like Aries, Leo as a fixed sign can dig in their heels when they don't want to do what the other person says. I was mentioning, because I had the Taurus reading that I did with Aries, and I was saying that the Taurus person may cooperate. And while that's true, and that is a fixed sign as well, Taurus is an earth sign, but here we're talking about 2 fire signs. So the ego is much more in play. In other words, the individualistic element that keeps each person looking out for number one. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that some of this at least resonated. If you'd like a personal reading, the link is below. Thanks for listening. Take care. Bye.